Thanks for watching Numbskull News. And now that we have the settlement settled, the house case, now we can really start churning our little wheels, putting on the tinfoil hats. What the hell is going to happen next? Because things are going to start happening. So the first thing I want to talk about, the Big 12 decided, nah, on private capital. Which is strange, because as we all know, Brett Yormark has been huge on private capital, trying to make something happen. And then he's like, yeah, we decided, we're good. We're good. Strange, right? And, around the same time, we get this big article by Ross Dillinger, and I'm sure we're going to get a lot of articles by Ross Dillinger over this coming months. But this particular one is a big one and talked about a lot of shit. But there was a part of this article talked about a clandestine phone call between Big 12 ACC schools and Smash Capital, which we all know is the Super League capital partner that wants to create a Super League. They want a Power 4 Super League, essentially, is what they want. But they're not going to get that because the SEC and the Big Ten are out. They don't want to do it. They'd rather go do their own thing. They could do it themselves, blah, 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 all that crap. So, why are Big 12 and ACC schools talking to Smash Capital? I put 2 and 2 together. All of a sudden, the Big 12 pull out other talks with Redbird and other suitors. See what I'm saying here? See the two things I'm putting together here? Why pull out of that doing your own private equity deal? Maybe because they're looking now with a Smash Capital deal. A lot of people have speculated, well, that's because the biggest brands of the Big 12, the biggest brands of the ACC are going to come together, 16 teams, and Smash Capital is going to back that, but that's not what Smash Capital wants. They don't want to back a conference. They want to be part of multi-conferences, a super league. That's not 16 teams. They're talking 70. They're talking a lot. Now, I made a video about that. Big 12, ACC, Pac-12, the American, possibly the Big East. Putting all that together through Smash Capital. But in this video, let's just talk about the Big 12 and the ACC. Those are the two big dogs of anything that would go on Super League-wise, because we know the Big 10 and the SEC are out. One thing I keep hearing over and over again, well, it won't work unless you have Florida State, Clemson, and Miami. Yeah, it would. Yes, it would. Do you think... Understand, Smash Capital wanted to do all of this, including Wake Forest. Remember, their initial pitch, Big 10, SEC, Big 12, ACC, was for all of those schools. All of them. Boston College, Syracuse, everybody. UCF, Cincinnati, Houston, everybody. Northwestern, Purdue, Rutgers, Vanderbilt, Kentucky, everybody. Mississippi State, everybody. Why? Why do that? Content. Folks, you corner the market on content. Content is king. Live sports are huge. The biggest live sports is football. It's football. We all know this. So, in that world, Wake Forest has value. Boston College has value. Cincinnati has value. The Golden Knights have value. So let's get that out of the way. And as I have talked about private capital before, I always hear people, well, how is there going to be a return on investment with private capital? All you have to do is do a Google search on private equity, private capital, and how they make their money. Through expansions and through mergers, right? Because what they do is whatever they invest into, they build it up and then they sell it off for a profit. That's how they make their money. So college football, it's different, but some of those elements on how private capital and private equity, how they make their money can still work. Merger, that's one. Making what they buy into a bigger deal. They can do that. Also, what you're buying into is undervalued on the market. That would be the Big 12 and the ACC, would it not? Undervalued? Yes. So there's a lot of return on investment from what? The next television deal. That's where they're going to make bank. That's where this private equity partner in Smash Capital would want to make bank. And how do they maximize that? Smash Capital smashes the Big 12 and the ACC together. They negotiate everything they have together. Number one, let's try to figure out how that works, and then we can talk about why it works. Okay, how? Because the ACC has a deal till 2036, right? We're talking about doing a new deal with a merged Big 12 ACC in 2030, 2031. How? Dissolve the conference. Those teams vote to dissolve the conference. Everyone who's going to be a part of this new merger, they sign up through Smash Capital. They're going to get paid. They have the assurances, all the lower schools have the assurances that they have a spot in this new world. And they're going to have the certainty that they're not going to go to a G5 or be a new pack. But a Tier 2 conference, yes. A giant Tier 2 Super League type of conference, yes. But they have that protection. They have the certainty. And it'll be for well past 2036 that they'll be together. And they know that. So thus, they will do the deal. Florida State, Clemson, and Miami will also do the deal because now they don't have to pay jack shit to get out. Go to the SEC. Go to the Big Ten. Now, a lot of people have told me, well, this ain't going to work without the three big dogs, right? This is why it will work. This is why it will work. Because Smash Capital is going to go for the big dollars, the big money on this new conglomerate. That's what they're going to do. They're not beholden to ESPN. They're not beholden to Fox. It's going to go to the highest bidder. And everybody knows the big streamers are coming. And this whole thing, regardless whether it's ESPN or Fox, everything is going to streaming in the future. The Big 12, this new big merged conference, whether it's going to be one of the first to do it, if not the first to go heavy, streaming heavy. How does a streamer make money? Two ways. Not carriage fees for the games. That's not part of it. Oh, YouTube TV, any kind of streaming live sports like that goes on right now, that's not really streaming. It's not. You're talking, let's say if Amazon buys the main rights to this thing. Well, that's not YouTube TV, is it? No. They are a streamer. So is Netflix. There's no carriage fees because they own it. You pay you collect carriage fees for your network to be broadcasted through somebody else. This cuts out the middle. That's what streaming is. It cuts out the middleman. That's why there's a bunch of streamers out there right now. There's AMC Plus. Everyone's got a plus. Everybody. But the really big streamers, they're good. They're just dipping their toe into live sports. They're going to go all in. So how do they make money? Number one, subscribers. Subscribers. That's their number one revenue generator there. The next thing is advertising. Now, I've said many times that when you're talking like UNC to the Big Ten and the SEC, and everyone keeps telling me it's about the market. I keep telling you, no, it's not about the market. Not. The market is still important. But if that's all you have, then you're in trouble. That's why they're not going to go. They're not going to get paid by ESPN or Fox for big money. They're not when they don't have the ratings to back it up. Now, I want you to look at the markets that this new thing would have. From DFW to the Bay Area to Atlanta, Georgia, to Orlando, Florida, New York, Boston, Pittsburgh, Virginia, North Carolina. Some of the biggest and fastest growing markets in the country. Perfect for the advertising dollar. Editor-in-Chief Numbskull here. Something I forgot. That the prices our future media partners will be paying to be in these illustrious markets are not Big Ten and not SEC prices. Thus, they will be highly sought after. We do still have great ratings for what we do have. Thank you. And no, this thing does not generate the kind of viewership that the Big Ten and the SEC do, but they generate enough to be worth a lot. This is not the MAC. And all apologies to the MAC. All apologies to the Sun Belt. All apologies to Conference USA. Our ratings are on a much more elevated level than that. It may not be Ohio State, but it's not Akron. It's not Ball State. We're talking about people on a much higher level. As I said, a tier 2 conference, if you will, a mega conference. So where's the value in that? The value is all of this tier 2 content. Content is king. Markets matter. They're not the most important thing, though. The content and the type of content that you provide is what's most important. So essentially, Smash has something to sell. The big brands, no. Would UNC be part of this? Because I talked about the other three. Everyone talks about UNC. Would UNC be part of this? Yes, they would. Why? Because the freaking Board of Governors aren't going to let them out of the ACC. In this thing, you're keeping UNC, NC State, you're keeping Duke and Wake Forest all together. Oh, the Board of Governors would freaking eat that up all day long. And then the private capital revenue coming in. Then you get a new media rights deal 2030, 2031 for a hell of a lot more money than you're currently making. UNC will be told to shut the hell up. You're going nowhere. Is what I'm trying to tell you. And I don't think the media partners out there, as far as the SECs and the Big Ten's big media partners, I don't think they're all hot and heavy for UNC either. I mean, number one, ESPN's already in the market of North Carolina. They don't need them in the SEC at all. The SEC doesn't need them at all. Have you noticed that I've seen articles written on how great the University of Alabama, just for, an example of how great they are doing in getting students, not student athletes, just students, international students, all kinds of students. They are kicking ass. And I'm sure if you look around the SEC conference, all of those universities are probably doing pretty damn well as far as keeping their classrooms packed with paying customers. probably don't have much of an issue or problem with that. I can damn well guarantee you the Big Ten, with all their lauded academics, probably don't have much trouble with that either. Neither conference needs UNC. Not for students, not for ratings, not for premium matchups. As a matter of fact, they don't offer ratings and they don't offer premium matchups. And those two conferences are already kicking ass academically anyway. What do you need UNC for? No one's ever been able to give me a really solid answer that I cannot shoot down immediately. But in this conference, they work perfectly. They just do. They don't have the ratings for the SEC or the Big Ten, but they do for this. You know, I'm hearing some rumors of, hey, well, hold on. FSU, Clemson, and Miami may not get into either one of those big conferences. I'll believe that when they don't get in. I don't believe that for a solid second. That ESPN does not want FSU and Clemson in the SEC. Are you kidding me? To have even more premium matchups? Oh yeah. Yeah, they want that. All these media partners, they want big games every week. If you can get 1, 2, 3, beautiful. They want that. You don't think they want those ratings? Oh, the SEC already has big ratings. You don't think they want more? You don't think ESPN's not greedy for more? Of course they are. Of course they are. And they can keep Fox out of the territory. And Fox is already going to have a hard enough time trying to sell FSU and Clemson to the Big Ten presidents. That's been written about ad nauseum. Miami could probably get in there. That has also been written about ad nauseum, how much the Big Ten presidents like Miami. The Big Ten overall wants to get into the state of Florida. The truth is, there's a lot of people that just, there's no way. There's no way there could be a merger. I don't get that. Either they say, well, there could be, but you have to include Florida State, Miami, and Clemson. Again, you're using old world knowledge, old time knowledge, where you can't have a viable conference without a blue blood or 2 or 3. Have you not seen the Big 12? Is it not a power conference? Does it not get pretty good ratings? It does. Is it not making a hell of a lot more money than any G5 out there? It absolutely is. Does it not have a solid group of private capital investors trying to get in and do business with the Big 12? Absolutely they do, including Smash Capital, Redbird, CVC. Yes. They've been trying to give and throw money at the Big 12. You don't do that if you think it's just a worthless turd out there. You don't need big blue bloods to be successful. You don't need Florida State and Clemson and Miami to make a merger between the Big 12 and the ACC work. You have a ton of content, and when all of that is negotiating together for media rights, I'm sorry, all the media partners out there need the content. The Big Ten and the SEC do not provide enough content. They provide the best content. They do. The biggest ratings, the most watched games, the premium matchups they all want. They do provide that. But you need more than that. ESPN can't work with just 1 or 2 games a day. They need more. We all know this. There's ESPN, ESPN2, ESPN The Ocho, ESPN Plus, ESPN out your ass. They need all of that. WBD wants Big 12. That's why they got a licensing deal right now with ESPN, so they can get Big 12 games on their network. Why? Because it's lucrative. They need money. College football makes money. Doesn't have to be the Big Ten to make you money. Doesn't have to be the SEC to make you money. The Big 12 can make you money. I know for decades upon decades and upon decades, the way the big conferences had always worked, there was a handful of blue bloods in each one. And they carried everything. They carried all the water for everybody else, right? That's what we were told for freaking years. And now we find out the Big 12 is above water and is doing good. It's successful. It's rising up before our very eyes from the depths of hell. From essentially at death's door, the Big 12 has rose up to be a stable, viable, successful conference with no blue bloods anywhere in sight. Not in football. The only conference out there that does not, of the Power Four remaining, they're the only ones with no blue bloods. Yet they get bigger ratings than the ACC does, who still have arguably 3 blue bloods, or at least 3 big ratings draws. Florida State, Clemson, Miami. I don't care if you don't consider them blue bloods. They're close enough. They get badass ratings. They're successful. They're national, huge national brands. That is not arguable at all. The Big 12 saying, we're going to shut the door on private capital. And then it coming out that there are schools talking to smash capital. Sure, it could be just coincidence. There's not a lot of real coincidences in the world, though. Keep that in mind. You're told it's a coincidence, and then you find out later, oh, it actually wasn't. It was exactly what it looked like. So, tinfoil hat, merger can be happening. Not no 16-team BS new conference. That ain't going to happen. Because for that to go down, you would need Florida State, Clemson, and Miami, and they're not going to be around. They're not going to commit long-term to some new fangled conference. Sorry, not happening. I know, for whatever reason, people want that to happen, but it ain't happening. I'm sorry. That's ridiculous. Anyway, thanks for watching this crap, and I'll be back with some more crap later. Bye.